Hi everyone, I'm Tom Harris, this is Nick Airy. We're at Delaware Country Club. We wanted to go over a quick club fitting process that we would use on a typical day, whether it be indoors or outdoors. We have the availability of TrackMan for the indoors or outdoors to show us that we are getting the correct product. Also, we have a lot of equipment that tells us about shaft, making sure that we have the right line angle and length of the club also. So we're going to go through a kind of a quick club fitting for you. Nick, in general, what are you looking for in your next set of irons?
Something that's going to give me a little bit more feedback than probably what I'm used to, but at the same time get distance. I mean, I don't want somebody that has a bunch of shovels in my golf bag. Okay. But I don't want a blade either.
Okay, so you want something in the middle that you maybe can have a little workability.
Sure. And
move the ball left to right, right to left. Do you hit the ball high or do you hit the ball low typically?
Typically hit it pretty high.
Okay, so you probably need something with the center of gravity a little bit higher so you can knock the ball down a little bit more. Does that sound right?
I think so.
Okay. All right, well, so those are the kinds of things we would ask first. First of all, Nick is obviously a good player. He hits the ball pretty consistently. So he's not really looking for a major game improvement type of golf club. He's looking for something that he can keep the ball down with, but maybe work a little bit better. So that kind of gives us an idea of what type of club head design he would like, whether it be with Callaway, Mizuno, Ping, or Titleist. We have all four of those manufacturers represented. So we can kind of work toward those and that style of golf club and kind of go from there, compare one versus the other. So the next thing we would look at is shaft. And so we're going to use the Mizuno optimizer, the shaft optimizer here, and to hit 3 shots. And the nice thing about this software is it's going to give us a recommendation or a top 3 shaft recommendation for this particular player. So I want to let Nick go ahead and hit 1 or 2 of those. We will feed those into the computer software and it would give us that information. So basically we'll go through 3 shots and it's going to record these for us, give us an idea of what this shaft is doing within his golf swing so that it will give us the ideal or at least a real top 3 idea of what shaft would work the best for him. Okay, so with that we have found that the optimizer is telling us that a Project X 6.5 would be its number 1 choice. That's about 120 gram shaft, steel shaft. So we would start working with that first with whatever manufacturers we wanted to deal with in club head design. And then the next thing we would do is we need to find out the club length. What length of golf club should he have? Now all of us are built differently and all of us swing differently. So what we're going to do is we put a little face tape on the club face and we're going to find out where within this club face the ball typically hits. I've given him a standard length golf club that we feel like is very close in shaft that he should be using, which is important to know. Because the shaft will make a difference. If I'm using something that's too soft or too stiff, it can move the club face. But on this particular club you can see that he hit this dead center. We've got an impression pretty much right in the middle of the golf club, so there's no reason for us to think that he's going to need a longer or shorter golf club. So that's our first thing.
Now if I were to hit it on the toe or the heel, what would that indicate?
Well, first of all, if it's on the heel of the golf club, there's a good chance, if the shaft is correct, that the club probably is a little bit too long. If it's on the toe, possibility, it can be a swing characteristic. However, it also, we need to look at the length of that to be, maybe it needs to be a little bit shorter. So that would certainly play a part, but golf swing does have a big impact, and that's why it's important for your instructor to be the person fitting you, because we know your swing characteristics, and we can work on swing technique at the same time and doing the fitting, so you're rewarded with a good shot when you make the good swing. So our next thing we would do real quickly is we would do a little lie angle test. So we would set this down. We've got tape on the bottom of the golf club, and when we strike this board, it's going to give an impression on the golf club of whether we're striking the ball or the golf club on the ground on toe or heel side. Nice shot. So in this particular case, we see Nick has struck the club or the ground, has made contact at the toe of the club. So this would mean, typically, if the club length is correct and the shaft is correct, that this club needs to be bent a little bit more upright. So I need to bring this down to move this mark from the toe a little bit more centered. Nick, do you normally play with a little bit of upright club or standard?
I typically play about 2 degrees upright.
Okay, so that makes sense that this would be moved down a little bit, get him a little bit closer to center, because obviously if we want to make contact with the ground in a close to the same position as we make contact with the golf ball, so that one is not working against the other. Now, Nick, what do you think if we hit the turf on the toe end, what would have our tendency be for the shot?
Well, I think most people are going to see the distance decrease. So by not hitting it in the center of the club face, it's not going to travel nearly as far. But you also might find that the golf club tends to twist. And I think you might leave it out to the right in some cases.
Yeah. So when we catch the ground on the toe, this club is typically going to be in a open position at impact, and vice versa when it's on the heel. So that's one thing to kind of watch. We want to make sure that we are within a degree or so of center of that golf club when we make contact, so that you're getting rewarded again for a good swing. Because if this club is off in lie, you know, a couple degrees can mean 10, 15 yards in direction just because the lie angle is incorrect.
And most of the time, your golf ball is not starting on the correct line. Somebody that's got a little bit flatter, it's going to start right of your target and kind of stay there. Consequently, if it's upright, it's going to kind of start at your target or even a little left and continue going in that direction.
Right. So now that we've found, basically we've got our shaft correct, we have a really good idea on the club head design, we have our correct shaft, we've got the lie angle of the club correct, we now have basically a position where the only thing we have to know about is our grip. So if we have the right grip size, and what we usually look for there is when we have it in our grip, is that the fingers just touch the pad or the palm of our hand. We do not want a big gap in here, nor do we want it to where it's too small and it's wrapping underneath. So we want it kind of in a comfortable position to where they just touch. And each individual player is a little bit different on that, so we would fit that.
One of the things that you typically hear is that if a grip is too small, you're going to kind of over-release it. If it's too big, you're not going to release it enough. There's not really any proven science behind that. I think it ultimately just comes down to personal feel.
Yeah, what feels best, and especially if you have a little arthritis in your hands, a lot of times a person will like a little softer grip and also one that's a little bit larger that takes that pressure off their hands. So that's another big component of club fitting. So there you have club design, we have shaft flex, we have shaft length, we have lie angle, and we have grip. And at that point we're able to decide what set makeup you'd like, and we can go from there.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. We hope to see you out in Delaware soon.